Hi, I'm Steve from Canadian Assistive Technology, and I'm here today to talk to you about the Magnabot 2. Now, Magnabot 1 was a Wi-Fi connected camera which allowed you to do distance viewing, and if you did close-up with it, you had to put it into a stand to have it do close-up. The Magnabot 2 now has the distance camera, but it also has this handy-dandy flip-out close-up camera, so you can do both distance and close-up through the same camera, and you can also split screen them. So we're going to show you how to hook up the Magnabot 2. There's two possible ways to hook it up. You can hook it up through Wi-Fi, or you can hook it up wired to a laptop. Now, if you hook it up Wi-Fi, there is one pitfall to it, and that is that you lose your internet connection because you're connecting through Wi-Fi to the camera itself. You don't lose that connection, however, if you hardwire it to a laptop. Now, the plus about the Wi-Fi is that it will allow you to connect to pretty much any device with a browser, whether that be a tablet, iPad, Android, a Windows tablet, Chromebook potentially. There's lots of options. As long as there's a browser and the ability to connect to a Wi-Fi hotspot, you should be able to use that device to connect to the Magnabot. So there's a couple things that come in the case with the Magnabot. You have your charger block, and you have a handy-dandy USB-C cable. So to charge it, you simply plug in to the charger block, plug it out on the wall, and then plug the USB-C into the device to charge it. Easy peasy. Once it's charged, you're all set and ready to go. Now, first thing you're going to want to do when you get your new Magnabot is you're going to want to take off the lens cap, because you're not going to see much with that on. So I'm going to take this off, and I'm going to tuck our charger out of the way for now, because first we are going to hook up to an iPad. So in order to connect the iPad to the camera, the very first thing I need to do is I need to go into my settings. I need to go to Wi-Fi, and currently we're connected to our office Wi-Fi, so I'm going to change that now to the Magnabot. Now, when you're looking through the list of devices, what you're going to find is you're going to find a device that says Magnabot, and then it's going to have an underscore, and it's going to have the serial number of the unit that you're using. So if there's more than one Magnabot around, you may need to check the serial number to make sure you're connecting to the right one. But I've only got one, so I'm going to connect to that. And it's going to warn me that it's an unsecured network, which is true. And then I just need to open up a browser and type in 192.168.4.1. That's the address for the Wi-Fi interface on the camera. I hit go, and boom, we are now connected to the camera. So through here now, we've got access to our controls. We can drop down our list of controls, and then we could start moving the camera wirelessly around. So there's our cameras that are looking at us now. There's our handy-dandy guide chart. We're going to get that centered, and I'll show you how we can zoom in on our eye chart. Right down to the smallest line down there, and we can make it really, really big. So right now I'm on my distance camera. If I want to switch to my other camera, I've got my little icon here to switch cameras, and here is my close-up camera. And again, we've got the ability to plus and minus on there, and we have the ability to do some panning around in that document just with the on-screen controls without even moving our document itself. That's pretty slick. We can also switch to a split screen view so that we've got both the close-up and the distance camera showing at one time, so we can use them together. Let's see, we've also got the ability to, let me just go back to our reading camera. We have the ability to go into different color modes, so we can increase our contrast or switch to whatever color combination we need. And there's a bunch of those, and you can turn those off and on in the settings through the little settings icon here. We can also capture information through the camera, and we can either do it as a still capture, that's what the little snowflake indicates. We can do it as a picture, just a photograph, or we can actually record video through either of these cameras as well. Probably the distance camera if you're recording video. We also have the ability to have this read documents to us. So I'm going to hit the read button here. And it is going to look at the text on the page. It's going to figure out what's written there, and it's going to start reading it back to us. And remember, all this information is being done across a Wi-Fi connection. So there might be a little bit of more of a delay doing it through Wi-Fi than it would be if it was hardwired. So here's our information coming up. There's our play button flashing.
Magnibot 2. Wired or wireless. Creates its own witty hotspot. Supports pretty much anything with a web browser, iPads.
And then we can close out of there. So you also have the ability, say your document was facing this way, for example, you can rotate your document so you can have it facing the correct way for you. And then we can look at settings in here, and in settings we've got settings for brightness, contrast, for turning the reading light on and off on the camera if you have the camera out and folded. Then these are all checkboxes for what color combinations you want. Then you can adjust your speed of your speech for the OCR readback. So that's it, hooked up through a tablet. Now let's talk about hooking it up to a laptop computer. Alrighty, so to set it up with a laptop, very, very straightforward. What we need to do is we need to grab our USB cable that came in with the package, the same one you use for charging. And we're simply going to plug that into the front of the Magnabot. And we're going to plug it into the USB port on the back of the computer. And on a Windows computer, you're going to hear a little ding like that to indicate that, yes, the camera has been connected. And then again, all you need to do is just open up a web browser. I'm going to open up Google Chrome, and it's a slightly different address for the wired connection than it is for the wireless. So I'm going to put in 192.168.5.1, hit enter, and shaboom, we are connected, and on top of it, we've got our internet connection still. We haven't interfered with that whatsoever. We still have all the same features. The controls are the very same, drop down from the top, exactly the same as you would see them on the tablet. All right, so two last things I just want to cover before we wrap up here. One of the nice things about using a touchscreen device with the Magnabot is you can actually use the touchscreen for panning around. Now, you don't have that option if you don't have a touchscreen, but you can, of course, use the controls with a mouse on a non-touchscreen device. Another nice feature that they built into this, though, is they've also built in what's called line return. So what you can do is you can pan around until you find the start of your reading line. So I'm going to start right there, and then I'm going to read across that line, and when I get to the end of that line, if I want to return back to the beginning of the line, I can just do a 3-finger tap, and it takes me back to the beginning of the line, and it also drops me down one line, so I can just continue reading across. So read across, tap, read across again, and tap. You can also do this on a Windows or Mac device. Set your left side first, and then when you get to the end of your reading line, you either hit the delete key on Mac or the backspace key on a PC. You'll get the same result. So that's about it for the Magnabot 2. Fantastic new device, fresh out on the market. If you want to take a look at it, you've got some options. You can see it at our office at Unit 106, 828 West 8th Avenue, Vancouver. And you can also check it out on our website at www.canastech.com. That's www.canastech.com. And this is also part of our loan library now. So if you want to try it out for a couple of weeks or try it with the student you're working with, give us a call at our phone number. That's 1-844-795-8324.